Welcome to Sacramento Film Works, where we bring to you all things film. I'm Craig DeLuz.
And I'm Amy Henry. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited about this show today because we get a chance to talk about the art of editing, a very, very important part of filmmaking. You don't want to miss this. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So glad to have you. I'm Amy Henry, and this is our Sacramento Spotlight segment of our show. This is a great area of our show. We love doing this because we get a chance to actually highlight local talent of folks that are doing things that you want to do. And today I have the joy of interviewing a lady who has started an amazing company that I think you want to hear about. Her name is Elise Hodge. Help me welcome Elise to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you. So, Elise, let's start first of all with your background and how you got into filmmaking and the various aspects, because I know you and I have had a chance to talk.
Yes, we have.
You've got a very colorful background. So, share with us a little bit about how you got started and where you are now.
Well, it started about 10 years ago, and I was actually driving home from an appointment in the Bay Area, and I heard an ad on the radio about wanting actors, and I was like, oh, it's that Barbizon thing or something like that. And I was like, no. But then it was a different group, and that's how I started getting involved with acting initially, and that took me down to LA. And then there was a time frame there while I was working in some casting and background and all of that. And then I ended up deciding that I kind of didn't want to work for other people. I wanted to work for myself. And I wanted to start creating content and being the person in charge. Because I discovered in all this time that I've been spending that it wasn't just acting that I loved, but it was also writing and producing and directing. It was all of it. And I wanted to then create an avenue for people to work with me on all those things. Wow. So that's how I started EMH Productions, and it was about 4 years ago that I did that, and I've been doing it ever since. So,
well, you just introduced it, the EMH Production Company. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what that company does. How does it help others?
Well, what I've set up is a way for people to work on different projects with me that I'm spearheading. One of them being, right now I'm working on a web series in LA, and part of that whole process is that you can jump in as a writer or a director or a producer or an actor. So these 3.5 minute spots that we do. And but it's a series that I've created. We've gotten 8 episodes so far, and we're going to be doing about another 4 before we launch the actual series. But I'm looking for people who want to be involved with that, because you can use it as a jumping off point to create your own series. So that's one of the things I'm working on.
Nice.
I'm also working on a show here locally in Sacramento that we're going to be doing in a few months as well, with the same kind of idea behind it. We're starting with a more core group of writers at this point. So
it sounds like this company actually not only gives you an opportunity to create content, but also it gives other people a platform where they can then stir up their creative juices, work with other people. Yes. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's introduced me to a lot of people and opened up all these doors for networking and other people to meet others that then they go off and work with on other projects, because that's 90% of this business is trying to meet other people that you get to work with.
Right.
So
wonderful.
That's an avenue for it.
Well, one of the reasons why we're doing this show for Sacramento is we're trying to really help those that are in this area have a place where they can go and create. And so you're right here locally?
Yes, that's
in Sacramento.
Correct.
So how do people find out about getting involved with your company? What do they need to do? Are there steps?
I have a website that you can go check out. It's emhpros.weebly.com.
Oh, okay.
And so you can go there to check out some of the things that I'm working on currently.
Okay.
We do not have everything up and running yet because it's all very new to me, and because I am the only person in my company. I'm the one that kind of puts everything together. So I'm in process of getting all the information up about the shows we're currently working on. But if you want to be involved with that, all you've got to do is either email me or go to the site. My email is also on the site.
Okay.
You can Facebook me, Elise Marie Hodge on Facebook.
Okay.
And I'm happy to talk with anybody who'd like to start getting more involved.
So if I'm an actor and I said, oh, wow, this is an avenue, I want to check this out. So I email you, and then you contact me and find out what my background is and what it is I like to do, and then find if there's a place for me to fit.
That's entirely correct.
That's awesome. So you mentioned Los Angeles a little bit ago about your background. Have you found it necessary then to create something for yourself here? Because a lot of times you end up having to fly back and forth to either, LA or into San Francisco, or
this is my home base.
Okay.
And so the intention for me in going to LA initially was to create enough connections that I could then live at home here.
Right.
And be able to do the back and forth, and to be able to treat LA as a place where I go for business. But then this is also where I get to do all of my creative work, because so much is done on the internet anymore.
Right.
And so it's very easy for you to be able to just stay where you want to stay and then go to the places you need to go to when it's necessary.
Right. Well, this is exciting because you are a person who has found a love for what they want to do, but then you're able to kind of turn it into something that would work for you. You didn't necessarily have to just answer the call to everyone else. I want to make sure before we leave this part of the show, you've got an upcoming project that I want you to talk about.
Well, a little while back, you all had a guest on here, Sarah Barbalesco.
Yes.
And she talked about her feature film, Remember Isabel. And it's a benefit feature film for Alzheimer's disease research. We're going to be filming starting July 10th through August 2nd here in Sacramento. And we are looking for people who'd like to volunteer as crew for the film, because it is a nonprofit. So we're excited to have it happening. We'd love to anybody who wants to be involved to jump on board with us. We definitely can use the assistance. And you can contact me through my website or through my email to talk to me more about that.
Fantastic. Now give us again the name of the company.
Sure. EMH Productions.
And the website and?
emhpros.weebly.com.
Great.
And then my email is emhpros@gmail.com.
Okay. We're going to make sure that that's on the screen for you at least by the end of the show, so that you can have that. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for taking the step forward, because not only are you helping yourself, but I like the fact that you're helping others.
Well, that's the goal.
I appreciate that. So thanks so much for being on the show.
Welcome to Sacramento Film Works. Today we've actually got a very interesting topic.
We do. We do.
We're going to talk about film editing. Now, it's funny because you hear a lot about directors and actors and producers and all that, but we don't talk a lot about the editor.
Right, right. It's almost like he is the unseen person, but yet it's a key person, right?
Exactly.
Because you considered it the what?
Exactly. Well, basically, it's like everyone else creates the parts, but it's the editor that actually brings it all together and assembles it into a movie or a production. So we want to welcome Sami Abdu, who is our industry expert as an editor today.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Awesome.
So I guess starting off, if you could just tell our audience a little bit about your background, kind of how you got into video editing.
Well, I went to college for film and for just film studies, which is just theory, analysis, criticism, and history, with the purpose of going into production. And I started out as a director, and I mainly do directing, but editing kind of came along as something that was just a necessity. The industry's not how it once was, the money's not there, and it's basically been an era of independent artists. So, and as an independent artist, with the technology being so cheap, you can do a lot more if you can do more of it yourself.
Okay.
And you have that access now, so.
Great. So you learned the art of editing just through the things and the jobs that you had to do out of necessity.
Yeah.
Okay. So for our audience that's both here and those that are watching, let's just start with the bottom line. Let's explain, if we can, what editing a film is.
Okay. Editing basically is just like what you were saying earlier, just putting it all together. So the normal process would be after a production is done and they move into post-production, they will give me all of the footage. And then I basically go through the footage and organize it and take out the parts that I like. And then based off of the director's direction, I will compile that, hopefully kind of capturing the vision they were originally hoping to get.
And that's interesting because, it's not just about, cutting and splicing, but it's also about putting your creative stamp on it. So what's kind of the creative role that the editor plays in the filmmaking process?
It completely ranges depending on the production. So, for instance, in the world of reality television, the editor, for the most part, is actually the director, right? So in reality shows, they'll have like a producer or a showrunner who will help drive the story. And the same goes for documentaries. But it's really the editor who creates that story, who helps develop those arcs and guides the audience into where they're trying to go. With music videos, a lot of it is just the editor as well. A lot of it will go off of the director's original notes, but there's so much stuff that happens in the process of editing that even whether you're trying to put your own stamp or not, it just naturally comes out.
So I'm sitting here thinking, if I'm a director and I've given to you my baby, here's all my stuff, right? Now, am I entrusting you to take everything that I have and create that vision that I had in my mind as a director, or do you and the director sit down and discuss, this is what's going to go in, and this is kind of what I don't want out, or do they give you that authority, so to speak, to just kind of decide what goes in and what goes out?
That entirely depends on the relationship. So, there are certain famous directors, for instance, who have their editor. Like they don't work with anyone else, and it's just because that person understands their style and their taste so well that they really don't have to give them much direction. Like Quentin Tarantino has his editor who he's always worked with for the longest time. Same with Soderbergh. Has an editor that he only works with her every single time. So it really does depend. The nice thing is the normal relationship I've had with other directors is they trust me a lot so that I could kind of go in and do what I want to do with it, and then they'll go in and check in maybe every week or so, based off a rough cut that I send them, and then they'll give me notes off of that, and then I get to play around with it. So what I always do is I always give them what they want, but then I always give them an option of something that I'm trying to do. And a lot of times I go with the option that I'm giving them.
All right.
Yeah.
I think for our sample video, we have one where you're actually the director and the editor. So let's take a look at it and talk a little bit about it afterwards.
Sure, definitely.
lucid dream that paints vanilla skies. The palace crazy, amongst the stars we in the sky. Yeah, we shining, baby. The future's now, the future's future now. The future's maybe, cause we ain't seen it yet, except success, and that's amazing. And I don't ever really wanna wake up. Extended stays in hotels. I gave my life to this music. It's either that or I go hell. 8 of us in 2 bedrooms, too broke to afford a motel, but that's motor fuel for this movement. Just think of the stories that I'm gonna tell. I'm so young and gifted, so high I'm lifted, with eyes wide shut, but it's my dream and I won't miss it. All these rappers mad, they look at me like competition, but these beats are bad like voodoo dolls. I stick my pins in dreaming, 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 dreaming.
All right, so tell us a little bit about that video, because I just thought, having done some editing and done some filming before, I was just incredibly impressed with, whether it was the lighting, how the music and the shots and everything work together. I mean, how do you come up with that?
Yeah.
It's tough. The song, when I first heard it, it just kind of spoke to me, in that it just offered itself to very beautiful cinematic visuals, right? And a lot of people say that when they see that music video, they almost feel like it's like a trailer to a movie.
That's what exactly. Yeah. That's what I felt when we saw it for the first time.
And I think it's just, the song starts off slow, right? But then it picks up like crazy and the beat gets really intricate. And so I wanted to find a format that can carry that energy in the beginning while it's slow, but then still be able to capture all the intricacies of the beat. So I chose a triptych format, which is basically the 3 frames.
Right.
And it pretty much hasn't really been done in video before. It's normally done in print art and things like that. And, directing-wise, it was unique in that I had to get almost triple the coverage I would normally get. Because it's not just 1 frame of footage. I have 3 frames of footage that I constantly have to keep moving. As an editor, it was challenging, but surprisingly more fun to work on than I thought, because it just gave me so much more freedom. Because it wasn't just the images that I'm cutting up to the beat, I'm cutting up the frames themselves. And I got to play with symmetry, and I got to play with just the time delay and different point of views, and it was just kind of like being in a sandbox. It was just really fun.
So, of course, we did a little bit of research on you.
Okay.
And I understand that you've got a background in dance. And talk about how that has played into your ability to edit. How does that enhance your editing?
Surprisingly, a lot. It's been a huge effect. Just because I think that's where I get my sense of timing from. Okay. And even other dancers, as weird as this sounds, can pick that up. When they watch my work, they know that I used to dance, or I had some experience in that. It's really weird, but I've had strangers approach me and tell me that before. And it's just because especially the tricky editing, especially when it comes to music videos, or for the most part, anything, timing and rhythm is crucial, but it's not a science. So to a song, I'm not just hitting this beat. I'm not just cutting to that, It's a balance between cutting to the song, cutting to the lyrics, cutting to the content of the lyrics, the emotional aspects of the lyrics, and offering that variety so it doesn't get boring for the audience.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
That's neat, because once again, I think of the old school editor, the guy who's sitting there splicing the film, and you don't think about the creative aspects of it. But man, you just opened at least my eyes in regards to really understanding how creative you can be. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Amy's going to be with our audience, and we're going to have some questions for our special guest. So we'll be right back.
Thanks, Simon. Wonderful. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. We are in our studio with some really great questions that you might even have on your mind. So we're going to bring up the first audience member, and your name is?
My name is Mark Gonzalez.
Go ahead with your question, Martin.
Sammy, can you talk to us about the transition from amateur editor to becoming a professional editor?
It was basically a two-pronged path for me. Half of it came from me just kind of doing free work with friends just to practice, and people seeing my work and asking who edited that and then getting gigs that way. The other way was just I would do that same work for friends, and they eventually later on would get paid gigs, and then they just hire me on as an editor because we've already worked together.
Very good. Good question. Thanks so much, Mark. And our next audience member, what is your name?
Linda,
Linda, what's your question?
I'd like to know what has been your best training for becoming a film editor?
Just day-to-day experiences, just gig to gig. There's not a lot of training out there in terms of like how to be an editor. I mean, there's stuff online on the technical aspects of editing, but learning that rhythm, the timing, which shots you have to go to, it's just something that you really learn with practice.
Thanks so much, Linda. And our next question for Sammy.
I'm Casey. And Sammy, I wanted to know about how much time do you expect to spend editing on a particular job?
That's tough. A lot of it depends on just the length of the end product. So music videos generally range anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Those generally take, if that's my only gig at the time, those generally take about 2 weeks to do. And that's like, after going multiple drafts and going back and forth with the editor, with the director or the artist, but generally 2 weeks. So.
Good question. But now that's only if you're working on that particular. If you've got multiple ones going on, then you're kind of juggling time then, and you've got to meet the deadlines.
Right. And the weird thing about editing and timing is a lot of it depends on your equipment, because a lot of your time will be spent rendering things and exporting things, and render times will be the death of you. So if you have like a really good computer that's fast, then you can get a lot more done.
Okay, great. So key thing, get a good computer. All right. Yeah. All right, and our last question, your name?
Sandra D.
Sandra.
Hi, Sammy.
Hi.
Have you ever worked on a project that you were very uncomfortable with?
Like ethically speaking, or just talent-wise? Like
talent and ethnically.
Yes. Yes, I have. There's been times where either I felt a project wasn't, like quality-wise, wasn't that good, and it's tough because as an editor, I mean, you're only given what you're given, right? And you have to make do with it. I can't make things up. I can't ask for reshoots, and it's tough because it's one of those things where no matter what you do, it's just not going to be good. And you just kind of have to chalk it up. It's just a gig, it's a paycheck at that point, which I don't usually try to treat my work.
Yeah.
So.
What about ethically? Maybe a project something that you just don't feel comfortable doing?
To be honest, I have rules. There are certain things that I will and I won't do, and regardless of the money that's there, the opportunity, I've denied working with artists before because they wanted to do something I didn't feel comfortable with. So. Yeah.
Good thing to have.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
So if folks either watching or watching on TV or here in the studio audience wanted to see more of your work or get a hold of you, how could they do so?
You can go to uppercloudmedia.com where we have a lot of the work that I've done posted there. I also have a personal website, sammyabdu.com, that people can check out, and then just Google my name.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Sammy Abdu.
Awesome. Good.
Well, that's it for this episode. Sacramento Film Works is a partnership of Access Sacramento and the Northern California Filmmakers Coalition. We'd like to thank our special guests, Sami Abdu of Upper Cloud Media and Elise Hodge of EMH Productions. I'm Craig DeLuz.
And I'm Amy Henry. Thank you so much for being with us. This was a great show.
Yes,
it was very informative, and I think you took away some wonderful things to help you really decide if you want to go into the art of editing. It really is the glue to what makes a good film.
Most
so,
definitely.
Thank you for joining us. This is Sacramento Film Works, where we show you how film works.